Hello and welcome to our second video in our series. The first video you got to see how we stripped and set up a tank. Now it's time to show you how we clean, steel, and pour a tank. Again, we are on the Dalmaray production floor. Here you see production team member Kyle Austin cleaning a 1,300 gallon form, getting it ready for pour. After a form is properly cleaned, it must be sprayed with a form release agent. After the form is sprayed with the release agent, the steel is brought in and cut to fit. Production team member Dave Jelinek is now placing the proper accessories in the cover. This brings us to the first QC checkpoint. QC member Aaron Austin is measuring to make sure all the accessories are placed in the proper locations, the lifters are in the right locations, and that none of the steel is touching the exterior of the forms. Now that the cover form has been checked over, it's ready to pour. Now back to production team member Kyle Austin as he's preparing the steel for the septic tank. He's already cut the steel for the bottom of the 1,300 and is now cutting the sidewalls. Kyle will be using a specialized pneumatic cutter to cut the high-grade steel that we use. Now that Kyle has cut all the steel, he's placing it in the tank, tying everything together, and also placing all the proper accessories into the tank form. Kyle is now cleaning and placing a form release agent on the cores of the septic tank. He will then place the cores in the tank in the appropriate order. Finally, Kyle will latch all the cores down to the jacket. Now QC member Aaron is looking over the tank form to make sure that all the steel is placed accordingly, all the lifters are tight, all of the accessories are placed in the proper locations, and that none of the steel is touching the outside of the jacket form, or the inside core form. The forms are now ready to pour, so let's call up some concrete. After careful measurement and mixing, a few minutes later, the end result is some high quality SCC concrete. Typically, since the septic tank cover forms require most amount of attention, we pour those first. Here you see production team member Kyle Austin distribute the concrete accordingly. One of the greatest attributes of SCC concrete is its flowability. As you can see, the concrete pretty much runs from one end of the form to the other without vibration. However, great consideration needs to be taken when using SCC concrete because it can get away from you and segregation and other problems can occur. However, an effective mix design with SCC concrete can benefit you in many ways. You can have improved form finishes, reduced production times, and reduced noise because of the less vibration. Now that Kyle has topped off the cover form, production team member Matt Dietz will use the float to level off the form for finishing. Now team member Kyle Austin moves on to pour the septic tank portion of the 1,300 gallon tank. Again, the benefits of SCC concrete are seen as septic tanks are very difficult to pour. As Kyle is distributing the concrete across the tank, Matt Dietz will use a trowel to move the concrete into the tank form itself. As they're moving around the form, you can see that the concrete is flowing pretty freely through the tank. This is because of the SCC concrete. Normally it's pretty hard to pour concrete in a 3-inch thick wall form with rebar and accessories, but the benefits of SCC concrete is flowability, and this really helps to pour this form effectively. Kyle and Matt are making their way around the form, distributing the concrete evenly. After the concrete is placed all the way, a little vibration is needed to make sure all excess air is pushed onto the form. Now production team member Dave Rasmussen and Matt Dietz will smooth out the top of the tank. They'll try to get the top as smooth as possible in order to make a proper seal between the lid and the tank after both pieces have cured properly. Finally, production team members Dave Rasmussen and Matt Dietz will finish off the top of the cover, making a proper lip for the manhole access way and running a steel trowel over the top of the lid to make a nice smooth finish. Lastly, QC member Aaron Austin will look over the form to make sure that the finish is done properly and that none of the accessories moved or shifted while pouring. He'll then look at the septic tank to make sure that finish is done properly and that no excess is hanging out of the tank, creating an imperfection in the form. With that, this completes the second video in our series, How to Produce Quality Septic Tanks. In this video, we showed you how to properly set up and pour a septic tank. Again, I'd like to thank my production team members that were involved in this project, and thank you for viewing. Please take the time to visit us on the web, www.dalmarayconcreteproducts.com. Thank you for your time.